Okay, I'm hoping to God the screen is not crooked. If it is crooked, I might cry because I've been fucking with it for the past 10 minutes, so I'm done. I upgraded from last week. Last week I was drinking out of my bottle. This week it's an overnight oats container, so it's not an actual wine glass, but it works. I actually own wine glasses, but I just don't feel like getting them out. That's it. That's the only reason. I don't know. Fuck. Okay. I forgot my list, so I'll be right back. And I think the camera is tilted. So if you couldn't tell by the title, this episode is for the girls. I'm going to make a pretty obvious title, so that should be pretty obvious. But yeah, this episode's for the girls. We're talking about red flags and non-negotiables. These things should be pretty obvious, but I mean, I was pretty oblivious to these things for a really long time, so I feel like there's got to be other girls that might also be a little oblivious to these things. So this is a split category, but it basically means the same thing. If he's friends with his exes, or if he likes girls' Instagram pictures / his ex's pictures on Instagram, for me, this is just a huge red flag. Like, if you're moved on from those people, then you don't really have any reason to be even following them, to be honest with you. And because it's kind of weird to like check in on your exes. Like, I personally, when I have an ex that like comes up on my newsfeed and they're like having a kid or getting engaged, it just makes me feel awkward and weird. Like, why am I seeing this? And it's not that I have any hard feelings towards that person. It just makes me feel uncomfortable in some type of way. I can't explain it. That's just me personally. I've also never known a single guy to like girls' pictures on Instagram that wasn't cheating. So it should be pretty obvious what's going on if that's what they're doing in their free time. This next one is kind of personal, but I had to add it in here because it does get surpassed a lot. And I feel like a lot of women use excuses for men with this one, but take it from the girl best friend. If he has a girl best friend, that is not just a girl best friend. I can promise and guarantee you that, whether it's being reciprocated on that girl's end or not, that is not a girl best friend. They are way more than that, depending on how long they've known each other. But 9 times out of 10, I'd say, why would you want to risk it? Like, to me, it's not worth it. I've been on both sides of it. I've been friends with guys, like good friends with guys for real. And I've been like best friends with a guy. And when I had guy best friends, I was not that close with them. If that guy is consistently hanging out with that girl on a consistent basis, talking to that girl on a consistent basis, that is not just his best friend, I can promise you. This one I picked up from being on dating apps after a while. So this is like pertaining to dating apps. But if he only has 1 to 3 pictures and he has like a super short bio, don't ask me why. I just notice a pattern with these guys. They're extremely emotionally unavailable. They just want to hook up with you. If that is all you're looking for, like truthfully and honestly, go for it. But I would not go for it if you're just looking for a date, just looking for fun, because they are looking to hook up. And when they don't get that out of you, they are going to be pissed. I mean, most of the time you'll be able to tell from the conversation. They'll bring it up before they even meet up with you. I just suggest swiping left on these guys because they're kind of a waste of time. And I've definitely noticed that pattern. 1 to 3 pictures, barely any bio, or no bio at all. It's a pattern. This one is like, I don't understand why this is so controversial and like why people think not like me in this one, but this is just my opinion. I know there are other people that think like me in this case, but this is just my personal opinion. My personal opinion is if somebody cheats on you, you need to break up with that person. There is no amount of cheating to me that's okay. Emotional, physical, anything like that, it's just not okay. In my book, personally, I take it very seriously. If I'm with someone and they cheat on me, I don't mean enough to that person that you couldn't tame yourself from being with somebody else on that kind of emotional or physical level. So to me, it's just like a huge sign of disrespect. Biggest red flag, biggest non-negotiable for me. That takes the cake is cheating, because I've never met a single person, literally never met a single person that's cheated and stopped cheating. They consistently cheat, and they cheat on every person they're with typically. So this one should be pretty obvious, but if he's a bad parent, like if he's a shitty parent, that just screams red flag. And you'd be surprised, like it's not that hard when you are dating guys. If you are dating guys that have kids, it's really not that hard to like pick up on the ones that are bad parents. This brings me into a different one that I wrote down, and that's literally if they don't get along or they can't be cordial, at least cordial with their kid's mother. Because to me, like if you can't be cordial, you're just toxic. There's something going on in your brain that you can't let it go with her, and they're clearly not over that person, clearly not over the toxicity. So they are just stay away from that person. It's just in your best interest. So this one is kind of weird, and I don't think it always applies, but I definitely think there are special circumstances that it really does apply, and it really is the problem in those circumstances. But if they're extremely close with their mother, I just think that that's a huge red flag. I think it's awesome if they have a tight-knit relationship with their mother. But I've just heard horror stories before. I do watch Am I the Asshole podcast on here, and I've heard some pretty like crazy stories on there, like anywhere from moms calling their sons 3 to 4 times a day to like moms buying houses right next door to where their son and their son's wife lives. Crazy stuff like that. And to me, that is just not something I personally would want to deal with. I mean, if you're okay with dealing with it, I think that it's awesome if like my significant other has a healthy relationship with their mother, but to a certain extent. I mean, healthy, keyword, healthy relationship. This one gets so overlooked, which makes me really sad, because it just goes to show like some women just don't value themselves when it comes to men, and I hate that, because I used to be the same exact way, and I definitely think my upbringing had a lot to do with that. I don't think all women are like that, but I think a lot of women tend to do that. They tend to like push themselves aside and put men on this pedestal. And so that brings me to say, like, if he ever makes you feel insecure, like if he ever makes you feel some type of way about how you walk, talk, dress, eat, anything like that, if he makes you feel insecure ever, like that is such a red flag. Your person will never make you feel insecure about who you are. Anything that they discuss with you on that type of level, where it would be like, you know, making fun of someone and like cracking jokes about something that someone really isn't bothered about, is completely different. We're talking about like actually digging at your personality, actually digging at who you are, what you do, all of those things. If that person is doing that to you, you need to run. That is so narcissistic, so fucked up. Nobody should ever change who you are, and that's exactly what they're trying to do when they say and do those things about what you're saying and doing. This has only happened to me once or twice, but I'm gonna tell you guys a really cool story. I guess it's kind of cool. Not really. It was kind of awkward. So I went on a first date with a guy, and of course he took me to Olive Garden, which is like cool because I like Olive Garden, but it's just kind of funny, first date at Olive Garden. But we went to Olive Garden, and he's not from the United States, so he definitely had some different like mannerisms, different ways about like going about things. And he was extremely rude to our server, and it made me feel so uncomfortable from somebody that's like been a server and like was a server bartender. It's so uncomfortable when you dine with somebody that's rude to the service workers. Like, it's just uncomfortable. I personally think everybody in the service industry thinks that everybody should have to work in the service industry for at least 4 months so you can like understand where people are coming from in the service industry. But yeah, basically he was just really rude, and it just made the date really uncomfortable and really awkward. And I think he could tell that I was like, didn't really know what to say when he was being rude. Because I don't think he thought anything of what he was doing. So yeah, that's another bullet point. Another red flag is if he's rude to service workers. So this is kind of an obvious one again, but sometimes, you know, you just make excuses for men. Like I said, guys make excuses for themselves. And this is if he doesn't have his shit together. So if he doesn't have assets to back up his life, like if he doesn't have a car or a place to live or anything of that sort, he doesn't seem stable in his own life, but he has every excuse in the world to as why he's gonna get his shit together. Don't believe him, because actions speak louder than words, and he's probably bullshitting you. In fact, he is bullshitting you, because there's no guy in this world that doesn't have their shit together that is going to get their shit together tomorrow. There's not a single one. So run if you can. I personally can't because I'm paralyzed, but you know. My vape just dropped halfway across the table, like underneath the table, to where I can't get to it. All right, I got it. I've had some pretty toxic relationships. One specifically super toxic relationship, but I have like a couple other ones that weren't like the most healthy things in the world. And so I've learned a lot over the years, and I've learned that a lot of the time, like, we ignore the most obvious red flags. And so I wanted to post a video about that. So if you guys think of anything that I like did not hit in here that are like obvious red flags that totally get missed, please comment them below for any women out there that see this and are like being informed, because sometimes we just like look past this stuff and we need to be reminded, because fuck misogynistic men. I am gonna make a whole episode on how I healed from my toxic relationship, my most toxic relationship, how I moved on, how I healed from it. I'm going to make a whole video about that because I think that's really important too, but that's not going to be next week. Next week will be a little something different, probably some paraplegic things, maybe some other stuff. I don't really know yet. But thanks for being here, guys. I love you. Have a great day or a great night whenever you're watching this. Bye.